Title: The giant predator that rivaled Spinosaurus. Around 100 million years ago, North Africa was home to one of the strangest collections of giant predators the world has ever seen. Spinosaurus prowled its rivers and wetlands, hunting in a landscape filled with enormous fish, crocodile relatives, pterosaurs, and dinosaurs. But despite what popular movies might suggest, Tyrannosaurus rex was never its true rival. T-Rex lived millions of years later, on another continent. The giant predator that actually shared Spinosaurus's world was Carcharodontosaurus, a massive land hunter armed with a skull full of blade-like teeth. Its name means shark-toothed lizard, and it is easy to understand why. Carcharodontosaurus had long, flattened teeth with serrated cutting edges. They were not shaped like the thick, bone-crushing teeth of Tyrannosaurus. Instead, they were more like enormous steak knives, designed to slice through flesh. This was a different kind of killing system, less like a hydraulic press and more like a row of giant saw blades. The story of this dinosaur begins long after it disappeared. In 1914, German paleontologist Ernst Stromer's expedition recovered the partial skeleton of a huge theropod near Egypt's Baharia oasis. Political unrest and the First World War delayed the fossil's journey to Germany. Years later, Stromer described the animal and gave it the name Carcharodontosaurus saharicus, honoring both its shark-like teeth and its Saharan origin. But the original fossils had a tragic fate. During the Second World War, the Munich museum collection that housed them was destroyed in an Allied bombing raid. The specimen was reduced to rubble, and for decades, scientists had to rely heavily on Stromer's drawings, notes, and photographs. Later discoveries in Morocco and elsewhere in North Africa finally provided new skull material and helped paleontologists reconstruct this mysterious predator again. Even today, its exact size is difficult to calculate because no complete skeleton has been found. Most reconstructions suggest a large adult may have reached roughly 12 to 13 meters in length and weighed several tons. Those estimates place it among the largest predatory dinosaurs ever discovered, but precise rankings are unreliable. Fossils are incomplete, individuals varied in size, and estimates change whenever new evidence or new methods appear. Its skull was enormous, probably around 1.5 meters long in the best-known large specimen. Yet it was built differently from the skull of Tyrannosaurus. Large openings in the bones made it relatively light, while the jaws carried dozens of narrow, serrated teeth. A modern biomechanical study estimated a strong bite, but only around half the force predicted for a similarly sized Tyrannosaurus. That does not make Carcharodontosaurus weak. It means the two predators were adapted to attack prey in different ways. Tyrannosaurus could drive robust teeth into bone and resist enormous crushing forces. Carcharodontosaurus appears to have depended more heavily on cutting. A bite could open a deep wound and remove flesh from a large animal. Repeated attacks may have weakened prey through trauma and blood loss. However, no one has ever watched this dinosaur hunt, so details about its technique remain informed hypotheses rather than confirmed behavior. Its senses probably helped it judge distance and movement, while its long hind limbs allowed a powerful stride. It may have approached through vegetation or uneven ground before closing the distance with a burst of speed. For an animal weighing several tons, even a short charge would have been terrifying. But claims that it sprinted at extreme speeds should be treated cautiously. Giant bodies place major limits on acceleration, balance, and turning. Unlike Tyrannosaurus, Carcharodontosaurus probably had three-fingered hands. Unfortunately, the postcranial skeleton is poorly known, so reconstructions of the arms depend partly on close relatives. They may have helped stabilize or hold smaller prey at close range, but spectacular claims that the animal could lift a half-ton dinosaur off the ground are highly speculative. Its head and teeth were almost certainly the primary weapons. What did it hunt? North Africa contained large terrestrial herbivores, including long-necked sauropods such as Rhybocosaurus and enormous titanosaurs. A healthy adult sauropod would have been a dangerous opponent, but juveniles, injured individuals, and smaller species could have presented opportunities. Carcharodontosaurus may also have hunted ornithopods and other dinosaurs, while scavenging whenever a free meal became available. Like modern predators, it probably did whatever maximized food while minimizing injury. Fossils from the Kem group of Morocco and comparable North African deposits reveal a remarkable ecosystem. The region was not the endless desert we see today. Rivers crossed broad floodplains, coastal environments reached far inland, and wetlands supported fish, turtles, crocodiliforms, pterosaurs, and dinosaurs. Some of the fish were enormous. The coelacanth Mawsonia, for example, could grow far larger than most living freshwater fish. This abundance helps explain how several giant predators could exist in the same broad region. Spinosaurus was strongly associated with aquatic food resources and had jaws well suited for seizing fish. Isotopic evidence also supports differences in diet among North African predators. Carcharodontosaurus, by contrast, appears to have relied more heavily on terrestrial animals. This ecological separation, known as niche partitioning, may have reduced direct competition. But reduced competition does not mean the two giants never encountered each other. Rivers changed course, animals migrated, and drought could shrink water sources and concentrate wildlife into smaller areas. Under those conditions, a Spinosaurus and a Carcharodontosaurus might have crossed paths. We have no fossil evidence showing that they fought, but a tense confrontation over space, food, or access to water is biologically plausible. So who would win? The honest answer is that we do not know. Carcharodontosaurus possessed teeth better suited for opening large wounds in terrestrial prey. Spinosaurus may have been longer overall and carried powerful forelimbs with large claws. Body size, age, health, position, and motivation would matter more than a simple species name. Real animals usually avoid dangerous fights because even the winner can suffer a fatal injury. Carcharodontosaurus may also have faced rivals of its own species. Some large theropod fossils preserve injuries around the skull, suggesting that face biting or other forms of combat occurred in several predatory dinosaur groups. For Carcharodontosaurus specifically, the evidence remains limited. Its nasal ridges may have served for display, species recognition, or combat, but we cannot yet choose confidently between these possibilities. The wider Carcharodontosaurid family became one of the great predatory dynasties of the Cretaceous. Its members included Giganotosaurus and Mapusaurus in South America, and Acrocanthosaurus in North America. Different species occupied different continents, but many shared a long, relatively lightweight skull and cutting teeth. For a time, these dinosaurs stood near the top of food webs across much of the world. Then, around the middle of the Cretaceous, their dominance began to fade. Carcharodontosaurus disappears from the fossil record around the Cenomanian-Turonian transition, roughly 94 million years ago. This interval saw major environmental disruption, rising seas, changes in climate, and widespread oxygen loss in the oceans. Marine ecosystems suffered especially severe losses. It is tempting to connect that global crisis directly to the disappearance of Carcharodontosaurus, but the fossil record does not provide a simple verdict. Terrestrial fossils are patchy, and the last known specimen is rarely the last individual that lived. Environmental change may have transformed food webs and habitats, or the dinosaur may have declined for reasons not yet preserved in stone. What is clear is that Carcharodontosaurus vanished long before the asteroid impact that ended the age of non-avian dinosaurs. By 66 million years ago, it had already been gone for tens of millions of years. Its reign belonged to an earlier world, a green and river-filled North Africa, where giant fish ruled the waterways. Spinosaurus hunted near the shore, and a shark-toothed giant controlled the land. Carcharodontosaurus was not simply a larger version of Tyrannosaurus, and it was not just a movie opponent for Spinosaurus. It was the product of its own ecosystem, equipped with a different skull, different teeth, and a different hunting strategy. The more we learn about it, the more remarkable that lost African world becomes. And somewhere beneath the Sahara, more fossils may still be waiting to change the story again. If you could observe one scene from this vanished ecosystem, would you follow Spinosaurus into the wetlands or watch Carcharodontosaurus hunt across the floodplain? Tell us in the comments, and subscribe to MindNexus for more journeys into prehistoric Earth.